When do 84% of Americans agree on anything? This is common sense.
America, there's one issue where 84% of Americans agree. The issue?
Latest polling shows that 83% of Americans support requiring a photo ID to vote, including more than 70% of Democrat-leaning voters.
Requiring a photo ID to vote, something you need to buy alcohol, board a plane, or pick up a prescription. But Democrats call it Jim Crow 2.0.
Let's admit the truth. Everywhere people go, they're asked for a Social Security card. In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a Social Security card.
But now that Trump wants it, suddenly it's voter suppression. Let me show you the hypocrisy. What is up, guys? Tyson DeLaCruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Let me start with the numbers because this is the most bipartisan issue in America right now.
76% of Black Americans support it, 82% of Latino Americans support it, and 84% of the American people support photo voter ID. When do 84% of Americans agree on anything?
My friends, it is common sense. It is a common sense issue, and yet Democrats are blocking it in the Senate.
Critics warn this could throw up new barriers for millions of Americans, including low-income voters, the elderly, students, and women who have changed their names after marriage.
And here's their argument. Voter ID creates barriers for low-income voters, the elderly, students, and women who changed their names. What?
Each state's voting laws are different, but 36 states already require some sort of ID to vote. 14 states and D.C. don't require ID documents.
So 36 states have figured it out, but Democrats claim that it's impossible or voters are too stupid. They say requiring ID is racist, but when you ask them to explain how is it racist, they can't obviously answer the question. Now let me show you the most blatant hypocrisy in this entire debate. Chucky Chuck Schumer, our friend Chucky Chuck Schumer, the current Senate Majority Leader, was for voter ID in the 1990s. Not just for it, but he championed it.
One way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a Social Security card. This is an anti-fraud amendment. Over where we go, people say, well, why can't you stop illegal immigrants or others from coming here? And the number one answer we give our constituents is when they come here, they can get jobs, get benefits against the law because of fraud.
If you listen to good old Chucky Chuck, this is an anti-fraud amendment. He's saying people are getting jobs and benefits illegally because there's no ID requirement. And his solution, require ID. That was his position in the 1990s.
Let's admit the truth. Everywhere people go, they're asked for a Social Security card. In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a Social Security card. This is an anti-fraud amendment.
And now Chucky Chuck is blocking the SAVE Act, which requires photo ID and proof of citizenship to vote. He says it's Jim Crow 2.0 and will prevent 20 million people from voting. But he supported the exact same thing 30 years ago. So what changed? Oh, that's right. Trump changed your mind. That's it. Trump supports voter ID, so Schumer opposes it. It's not about policy. It's not about protecting voters. It is simply opposing Trump no matter what.
They make it so hard to get any kind of voter ID that more than 20 million legitimate people, mainly poorer people and people of color, will not be able to vote under this law. They don't want people of color to vote because they often don't vote for them.
And notice this argument. He claims Republicans don't want people of color to vote, but 76% of Black Americans support voter ID. So simply Schumer is saying that Black voters don't know what's good for them because that sounds pretty condescending to me. Now, guys, let me show you the most brilliant demonstration of Democrat hypocrisy that I have seen in a while. A creator by the name of Josh Setter. Check him out. Shout out to Josh Setter. He's on TikTok and Instagram, does these kind of undercover expose parodies. Check it out.
I like it in here. This is a cool store. You got, you've been I don't know what's going on back there. That threw me off. Have you been watching the news lately?
No.
They're trying to make people show their IDs to vote. I know. Do you think that's racist?
Yeah, they've been tripping.
I agree. Can I get the hitter, the purple one, and then the bong?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
You got some ID?
This guy exposes entire systems and how Democrats typically think. He dresses up in this parody outfits and calls it for what it is and makes them sound completely stupid. Now, Democrats say that this is voter suppression to require ID to vote. But here's the thing. You need ID for almost everything else in your entire life. You need ID to buy alcohol. You need ID to buy cigarettes, board a plane, pick up a prescription, open up a bank account, rent an apartment, get a job, drive a car. But somehow, miraculously, requiring ID to vote is racist. That is their argument, that Black Americans and Latinos are capable of getting IDs for all those other things, but voting is too complicated. Democrats and people opposing this, that is not protecting voters. That is insulting them. Now, let me tell you the real reason that Democrats are opposing voter ID. And I'm going to be pretty blunt about this. It isn't about protecting voters. It's about protecting their ability to win elections.
The flyer talks about how illegals can vote in Washington, D.C. for a number of positions, like the mayor, like the attorney general. Do you have any evidence that illegals are actually voting in our elections?
Well, they are absolutely going to be voting in the Washington, D.C. elections, in those local elections. They're being recruited to vote.
Obviously, this video was posted about a year ago, but it's still relevant today. By federal law, if you sign someone up for Medicaid, you have to offer them voter registration. So there's built-in incentive to sign them up as many people as possible for the government benefits because it also registers them to vote. And if you don't require proof of citizenship, you're creating a system where non-citizens can register. Maybe they don't vote, maybe they do, but the system makes it completely possible. And Democrats benefit from that particular uncertainty.
Now, President Trump hinting at a potential executive order posted on Truth Social that there will be voter ID for midterm elections, whether approved by Congress or not.
And that's why Trump is threatening an executive order, saying if Congress won't pass the SAVE Act, he'll require registered ID through executive action. And Democrats are losing their mind, obviously, about this because they know what this means. They will lose their advantage.
If Republican senators do not pass the SAVE Act, you are not only going to be retiring members of your House colleagues, they are going to lose their seats and very likely the majority, but we are likely to lose the Alaska Senate seat. We are likely to lose perhaps Maine if we don't pass the Save America Act, and we are likely to lose North Carolina.
And Scott Presler warned Republicans, if you don't pass this, you're going to lose seats because voters want election integrity. They want to know that only citizens are voting. If Republicans don't deliver that, voters, they will stay home. Let's bring this home with the simplest argument possible. Requiring voter ID is common sense. It's not complicated. It's not racist. It's basic election integrity.
Nonprofit Headcount helps register young people to vote at concerts or music festivals and says that the act will make it more difficult for Americans to vote.
There are about 69 million Americans who do not have ready access to their birth certificate.
But here's the thing. If you don't have access to your birth certificate, how are you doing anything else in life? How are you working? How are you banking? How are you renting an apartment? The answer is you figure it out. You get the documents you need because this is what adults do. Adults do adult things. And if you're going to treat voting as a sacred right, which it is, then you should treat it seriously enough to verify that the people are voting are actually citizens.
This is common sense. 76% of Black Americans support it, 82% of Latino Americans support it, and 84% of the American people support photo voter ID. When do 84% of Americans agree on anything?
You can't even agree on pizza toppings. You can't even agree on what movie to watch on Netflix. But everyone seems to agree on this. The only people standing in the way are politicians who benefit from the current broken system. America, 84% of Americans support voter ID. That includes 76% of Black Americans and 82% of Latinos. 36 states already require some form of ID to vote. Chuck Schumer Schumer supported voter ID in the 1990s, but now calls it Jim Crow 2.0 because Trump supports it. And Trump is threatening an executive order because Congress won't act. This isn't complicated. You need ID to buy a beer, board a plane, pick up a prescription. Requiring ID isn't racist. My friends, it is common sense. And the only reason Democrats oppose it is because they benefit from illegal voters. When 84% of Americans agree on something, politicians should listen. But Democrats won't, because this isn't about protecting voters. It's about protecting their base. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.